Ladies and gentlemen, man, do I have a very special video for you guys today. I just had the opportunity to sit down with James Gunn and talk about all things DCU. And I just wanted to add this bit before the interview to just say that it isn't lost on me how crazy this opportunity was for me to get. I really appreciate James and his team wanting to have a chat with me on the channel about the DCU and its future. For those of you who regularly watch my content, you probably know that this is a massive milestone for the channel. So, I hope you guys enjoy what we talk about. I had fairly limited time, so I asked what I could, and I tried my best to poke around a little bit, if you know what I mean. So I think everyone will find a nugget in there to appreciate. But most of all, I appreciate all of you guys watching me right now, because I know it sounds cheesy to say, but if you guys weren't watching me here on the channel, I wouldn't get the opportunity to do something like this. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Here's my chat with James Gunn.
I'm going to have to call you Boba because that's what I think.
Yeah, I was going to introduce myself as Luke, but everyone knows me as Boba, so...
Yeah, Luke Talks does not have the same ring to it.
Exactly. I'm conscious we don't have an awful lot of time, so I'll jump straight into things here. So, I just want to say, first of all, it is a real privilege for me to get a chance to speak to you. So what I first want to do is to just check in and ask how you're doing after a very busy first few years at DC Studios. So, now Peacemaker Season 2 has finished airing, which I loved, by the way. The finale is out the bag. We're pre-Man of Tomorrow. So how are you doing, James? Are you getting any sleep?
Yeah, I'm actually sleeping really well lately. It's been, and one of the reasons why is because that first, little section is over. The section that I had to kind of jam through as we were first starting this out. So now my life is, I don't want to say manageable, but more manageable than it was before. And being able to work on Man of Tomorrow, like I just, I'm finishing my fourth draft today.
Okay.
And it's really, I'm excited by it. But also I was talking with my wife this morning about when I was at this point, like this many months out from the Superman movie, I had not really started writing Peacemaker yet.
Okay.
So it was hellish. And now I'm still having to deal with, I was going over Creature Commando script this morning. I got a Mr. Miracle script on my desk I have to deal with. I'm, dealing with, Supergirl cuts and all that stuff. But it is not as quite as crushing as it was before.
I can only imagine. So one of the big reveals in the Peacemaker Season 2 finale was, very clearly the metahuman prison planet Salvation. You have said that you're adapting some of that concept from the comic series, Salvation run. So are there any other concepts you will be drawing on to bring this planet to life? For instance, I may be way off here, but the noises Peacemaker heard through the trees really gave me some Dinosaur Island vibes. So,
oh, that's cool. I think there's something out there for sure. It's obviously a sign that there's bad stuff, and that also is sort of that happens in the comic book. So that's not that's not too big of a stretch. That the idea that they're being sent to this prison planet, which is not meant really as a punishment. It's just to get them the hell away from our planet so that they quit bothering us and breaking out of prison and causing mayhem. And they're sending them to a place that, is maybe ethically unsound to be choosing to do that in the first place because you're ignoring, what a judge and jury has convicted your peers of. But also it wasn't thought of as like sending them someplace where they're going to be eaten by monsters.
yeah.
And so so that's a part of what is in store, I think, for the Salvation.
And then of course we have we also saw the introduction of Checkmate into the DCU. So is there anything you can tell us about its role moving forward and when just maybe we can expect to see them next?
Well, I can't tell you exactly when you can expect to see them next, although I think I know. But I can say that I think that they are actually an organization. We have the DCU is a world of organizations, as is our own world. And
Yeah.
none of these organizations is perfect. I think that we have seen, corporations. They're an intensely powerful structure within the DCU, whether it's Luthor Corp or
Hmm.
Lord Tech. Then we have the government, which has been, I think historically in the DCU is the most powerful entity
Yeah.
around. And then sadly for them, I think they feel like that's not necessarily the case right now with either metahumans or corporations. So they're dealing with the realities of that, just as I think our own world is dealing with the reality that corporations are now as powerful as whole governments are. Um,
Yeah.
and then I think there are the metahumans, which are connected in some ways to corporations because of Lord Tech
Yeah.
funding them. Um, and then I think Checkmate, and then we have Argus within the government and what they do. But I think Checkmate is sort of not sort of, it's an organization outside of all of those things.
Of course.
Really, that is not beholden to a corporation, is not beholden to anyone, and
Hmm.
and really whether or not they're going to be able to fulfill the promise of their own promise. They are there to make the world a better place. And that's what they want to do.
Okay. Absolutely. So one thing I've been really curious about is you've referenced things like Peacemaker season 2 and Lanterns setting up different threads and arcs. How far do these arcs go? Like, do they culminate in Man of Tomorrow, or can we expect them to go further than that?
Yes, they definitely go significantly further than Man of Tomorrow.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now, whether or not that'll be me that's able to fulfill that promise depends
Yeah.
on a lot of things in life. But yeah.
Okay. And I know you can't give too much away about Man of Tomorrow, but what can you tell us about what made this the natural step forward after Superman for you? Just considering that it wasn't a part of the original Gods and Monsters roadmap announcement that was uploaded to YouTube, for example.
Yeah, I mean, all of those things were more the setup things.
Yep.
So for me, I always thought, I mean, I always kind of wanted to do this, but it also depended on certain things. But yeah, I love the character of Lex Luthor, and so I think being able to get
Yep.
into him a little more, as well as again Superman a bit more, and their relationship and the way they're, the same and different was exciting to me.
Okay. Absolutely. So, well, when it comes to Lanterns, I mean, Lanterns fans are starving for a look. I know you can't say the precise date and time, and I'm probably pushing my luck here, but could we get our first peek at Lanterns before the year is over at all?
Um, I, okay. So I've seen the peak, I think, at least where it is now. But
Okay.
I don't know I have no clue what when that's planned to be shown to them.
Yeah. More of a marketing side of things, I assume.
Yeah, and also it is like with HBO, my expertise insofar as that goes, my knowledge of marketing is primarily based around films.
Yep.
That's what I have a lot of experience, going through the marketing of many films and seeing things that work, seeing things that
Yep.
don't work. And I'm so involved in all of that. I'm
Hmm.
equally involved with the actual materials that you're seeing for the television shows. But in
Hmm.
terms of the scheduling, I'm not as knowledgeable as I am with film.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, just the thing for me is I love the picture of it, the concept of it, the true detective inspired thing. So whenever we get that first look, I think people are really, really ready for that.
Yes, I
Um,
think.
and, and speaking of lanterns, you've already said that lanterns is really important in setting up things. I mean, you and Peter have said that from the start. Can you tell us a bit more with regards to what you meant by that?
Well, I think it's everything. I think they're important characters, and so that by itself is important.
Yeah.
Without anything else, just like Peacemaker is an important character,
Yeah.
still.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and so there's that, but there's also other things that kind of go into the far into the future in terms of what happens in that show.
Okay. Okay. And you've previously mentioned that some DC projects have had, a bit of a harder time coming along than others, whether that's, the Authority or whether it be Waller. I've always been curious about the Arkham show, which is a project you mentioned being one of the first pitches that you bought when you came on board at DC. So, I mean, this is way at, the back of 2023, so it's been a
Yeah.
minute. But is there any hope for a series like that to still be a thing in the future, maybe?
Uh, Hope, sure, but that isn't something that's being developed by anyone right now. It just didn't work.
Right.
So,
Yeah, okay. I understand that. And speaking of things kind of in active development, obviously we have the main DCU canon and we have Elseworlds. At the beginning of October, actually, Keanu Reeves said that they had another draft of Constantine 2 come in the way. That they were bringing into the studio. So I know there's a really high bar for greenlighting Elseworlds movies. Is this something that there's been much discussion about?
I've discussed it on and off. I discussed it with Keanu. So
Oh, okay.
so yeah, I mean, I think that's a great group of guys. I like all those people a lot. I think they're talented. But I have not read any script yet. So
Okay. Well, I think that's all we have time for today, James. I would love to speak to you more, but that is everything that
I
we have right
appreciate
now.
everything, Luke. I really do. I appreciate everything that you've done. I love watching your videos. So thank you so much for all of it. I appreciate it.
And honestly, thank you for just everything you're doing, and just keep on keeping on. I'm absolutely here for all of it. A lot of everyone I interact with in my audience is really very gung ho for the DCU. So we're really looking forward to the future, and I just really appreciate and I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak to
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, I mean, I said to these guys, when we started out, I said, there's a few guys that have just really been supporting the show. I like watching their videos. They're so smart about things. I learn things. I change because of what you guys do. You guys say, oh, it's connected to this thing. And I go, I didn't know that, but I see it. And then it's exciting to me. And I see new story potential. And it's one of the ways I write is by, interacting with you guys. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you very, very much, guys. And I'll leave it there. So cheers and see you, James.
Bye. Take care, Luke.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, trust me, it's not lost on me how cool that was for me to do. You could probably tell at points that I was pretty damn nervous going into that. I mean, I was definitely feeling how Economos feels most days.
Looking somebody directly in the eyes is an act of heroism.
Obviously, with the limited time that I had, I tried to poke into what I could. Obviously, I didn't want to be that guy to ask, oh, is Robert Pattinson's Batman merging with the DCU? But I tried to ask you a bit more about Lanterns because I know how many people are just wondering about when we're going to get that first look at the first teaser, get into Salvation a bit more and what can be done there with other concepts like the center or something like that. Even the Arkham series question, which I know was reportedly not moving forward at Max, but at the same time, it was also reported to not be totally dead, and we actually haven't heard Gunn talk about that since 2023, so that's always been on my mind. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed doing that. I still haven't done my discussion series video going into the future of the DCU with what Peacemaker Season 2's finale set up. So with that being said, don't forget to leave your questions, comments, theories, you name it down below. Even if you want to ask me a bit about the interview and what I talked about in there, just go ahead and ask anything so we can get into a much larger discussion video very soon. But man, that was just nuts. And again, thank you to James Gunn, his team, for reaching out and making this happen. Would greatly appreciate a like and a hype on this video just to launch this interview out there to as many DC fans as possible. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, just thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see all of you guys in the next video. Goodbye.